Weaponized government. Who's really in control? Chapter 1. Ever feel like you're being watched? Ever catch yourself looking over your shoulder, wondering if Big Brother's got an eye on you? If so, you're not alone. Across America, more and more people are feeling that way, and it's no wonder. With the IRS scrutinizing individuals based on political donations, the FBI reportedly monitoring parents at school board meetings, and the Department of Justice coming after people for daring to speak out, many wonder, is the government here to protect us? Or, to control us? This feeling of unease isn't just paranoia. It's rooted in what many see as the growing weaponization of government. People once assumed the government was a neutral force dedicated to upholding justice and fairness. But today, it seems like every department is armed and ready to enforce a particular narrative, and if you don't fit, you'd better watch out. Stick around, because, as we dig in, by the end of this video, you'll see how deep this goes, and what might be lurking around the corner will shock you. Chapter 2. The IRS and financial control, just following the money? The IRS. The good old gun-wielding folks who take a slice of every hard-earned dollar you make. But is collecting taxes their only agenda? Over the last few years, there's been a dramatic shift. Stories have surfaced about the IRS focusing its attention on citizens for simply voicing certain political opinions or supporting specific causes. Do you remember the IRS Tea Party investigations during the Obama years? Over the 2 years between April 2010 and April 2012, the IRS essentially placed on hold the processing of applications for 501(c)(4) tax exemption status received from organizations with Tea Party, Patriots, or 9/12 in their names. 427 other groups joined them in suing the IRS and reached a substantial financial settlement with the government for their abuse of power. When did paying taxes become an act of loyalty to a particular ideology? Consider this. The IRS has long been accused of targeting conservative nonprofits and even individuals who have supported unpopular political figures. If you think donating to a campaign is a free expression of your political views, think again. Suddenly, you're under special scrutiny. It begs the question, is the IRS truly nonpartisan, or is it evolving into a financial enforcer of a particular agenda? And it doesn't end with conservatives. Tomorrow, it could be you. So, who's safe? Maybe it's time we asked if the IRS really works for the American people, or for someone else entirely. Chapter 3. The DOJ, Department of Justice, or just us? Let's talk about the DOJ. Once the pride of American law enforcement, it now seems to be following a different mission, selectively pursuing cases that align with specific political goals. Take a recent case where DOJ officials equated typical conservative views with violent extremism, using financial surveillance to track people whose only crime was disagreeing with the mainstream narrative. If you hold an opinion deemed extreme, even if it's not, you're suddenly on the DOJ radar. This strategy appears designed to intimidate and scare people into silence. After all, who wants to risk a run-in with the FBI for merely expressing a different viewpoint? The DOJ has supposedly even cracked down on citizens merely for exercising their right to protest, a right enshrined in the Constitution. So, here's a question for you. If Americans aren't free to express their beliefs, is America still the land of the free? And with every new case, it feels more like the DOJ is telling us, justice isn't for everyone, it's for just us. Not you. Just us. Or whoever we happen to be this year. Chapter 4. FEMA, Disaster Relief or Disaster Creation. Remember when FEMA was there to help Americans in times of crisis? Remember when FEMA wasn't so political? These days, it seems the Federal Emergency Management Agency is better at creating disasters than managing them. When Hurricane Helene tore through, FEMA's response quickly became its own disaster, leaving communities in disarray. Over a month after the storm, many neighborhoods hadn't seen any FEMA workers at all. Then, reports surfaced that FEMA staff were directed to skip homes with Trump signs displayed on their lawns, injecting politics into an already chaotic relief effort. Thank God for churches and neighbors. Now, the president-elect is even talking about mass firings to clean house. And here's the kicker. Reports show that FEMA's failures have sparked outrage, leading to talk of a total overhaul. Could the mishandling of disaster relief funds be intentional? Imagine FEMA's resources being allocated not to help Americans but to push a political agenda. This might sound far-fetched, but when bureaucrats become untouchable, who's holding them accountable? So, next time there's a natural disaster, will FEMA step up to the plate, or will it leave citizens twisting in the wind? Chapter 5. The FBI, to serve and protect, or intimidate. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the FBI. The nation's most powerful investigative body has recently been under scrutiny for its role in surveillance. The FBI once aimed to keep the streets safe. Today, it has been accused of monitoring parents who disagree with school policies and even labels them as domestic threats for speaking out. Are they keeping us safe, or are they keeping an eye on those who challenge the system? Can you say Marxist? The FBI's involvement in political cases has raised eyebrows everywhere. One recent report even mentioned FBI agents showing up at the door of a regular parent after a school board meeting. In another well-known case, the FBI has been accused of planting operatives among the rallygoers on January 6, 2021, and stirring them up to storm the U.S. Capitol. Stand by on that event, as Congress begins its investigation. Then there were investigations into Catholics and the Catholic Church. A House Weaponization Committee revealed the FBI interviewed a Catholic priest and a church choir director as part of its investigation into traditional Catholics possibly being domestic terrorists. It begs the question, are they on mission to fight crime, or mostly to keep tabs on ordinary citizens? We'll get deeper into what this means, and how the FBI's role in American life may be shifting, in a bit, so stay tuned. Chapter 6. Let's call it the selective enforcement game. How about a little game of selective enforcement? Here's how it works. The government chooses when and how to enforce laws based on convenience or political gain. Seen this before? You're not alone. There have been claims that politicians are getting free passes while everyday Americans face harsh penalties for lesser offenses. Imagine trying to run a small business, only to get hit with fines for minor infractions, while big corporations get a slap on the wrist for breaking environmental laws. Or picture yourself getting fined or your taxes audited for expressing a view, while others walk away scot-free. The more selective enforcement we see, the more we ask, who's pulling the strings? This begs a bigger question. What's the endgame here? If only a certain group has to answer for their actions, then can we still call it justice? Chapter 7. The big picture, a government transformed? Now, let's zoom out. This isn't just about one individual agency or one political leaning. It's about an entire governmental apparatus that's transformed into something citizens don't recognize. From the DOJ to the IRS, FEMA to the FBI, it feels like every agency has a different agenda, and increasingly, that agenda is control. With each agency becoming more selective and seemingly weaponized, where does this leave the average American? This isn't just about partisan issues. This is about the core principles America was built on. When ordinary citizens feel they're living under a watchful eye, with limited freedom to act, say, or even think, then freedom itself becomes an endangered species. So, where do we go from here? Will the incoming administration address these issues, or will they simply continue the trend? Stick with us, because we are about to explore what might happen next. Epilogue. So, my fellow American, how far will this go? In the end, what we're seeing may be just the beginning. The weaponization of government agencies has left Americans staring at their smartphones, installing VPNs, virtual private networks, encryption on their computers to protect their online privacy and data, shredding their junk mail and bills, and looking over their shoulders and questioning their rights. And the big question remains, how far will this go? Benjamin Franklin once said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." So, is there any hope that we'll see reform? Or is it only a matter of time before even more of our rights are chipped away in the name of safety and security? Keep watching our channel, because the answer might be closer and more chilling than you think. Please like, subscribe and share this video so we can get the word out and try to stop the weaponization of government. Cheers!